It's almost 2 a.m. A dark room, one face lit only by a phone screen. Someone has typed the same message 3 times and deleted it 3 times. They know they shouldn't send it. Their friends warned them about this person, gently at first, then bluntly. Every sign says walk away. The thumb hovers, and then they hit send anyway. You know that feeling. The person who is wrong for you in every obvious way, wrong timing, wrong situation, wrong everything, and somehow that only made you want them more. The one you couldn't explain to anyone, not even yourself. The one you knew even as you fell you'd regret. We tell ourselves this is a modern sickness. Dating apps, late night texts, too many choices, and too little patience. A bad decision made alone with a glowing screen and no one watching. But what if it's far older than any of that? What if the urge to fall for exactly the wrong person is one of the oldest, most human things inside you? Here's what makes it strange. Desire is supposed to keep you alive. It's the oldest tool you have, a compass meant to point you toward the people who keep you safe, good partners, healthy children, a place in the group. So why does the compass keep spinning? Why does it keep dragging you, again and again, toward the people who could burn your whole life down? Now picture the people who came before us. We imagine they had it simpler, no apps, no overthinking, no drama, but their world was a tiny tribe of maybe 30 people. A world you could never leave. A place where every single person could see what you did, and there was nowhere to hide. In a world like that, wanting the wrong person wasn't a bad night. It could cost you everything. And the deeper you look, the darker and stranger that price becomes. To understand it, picture their world. It was almost unimaginably small. Your entire universe was a handful of faces, 20, maybe 50. You were born among them, you learned to hunt and survive among them, and you would almost certainly die among them. There was no moving to a new city, no fresh start where nobody knew your name, no blocking someone and never seeing their face again. The same faces every dawn, the same bodies pressed close against the same cold every night. You knew the sound of each person's footsteps, the way each one laughed, who was kind and who was not, and every one of them knew you just as completely. And in a world that small, desire was the most dangerous thing you owned. Because one attraction could crack everything open. The wrong choice didn't just break your heart in private. It could shatter an alliance between families, poison a friendship you needed to survive the winter, turn the whole group against you. And you couldn't hide it. No closed doors, no deleted messages. Everyone saw who you looked at a beat too long, who you sat beside at the fire, whose name made you suddenly go quiet. In that world, your reputation wasn't part of your life. It was your life. Which is exactly why almost everything you picture about cave people romance is wrong. We imagine it was simple, brutish. 2 cave people, no rules, one grabs the other by the wrist and drags them off. Instinct, nothing more. The truth is the opposite. Their love lives weren't simpler than ours. They were a minefield, full of forbidden people, dangerous rivals, and rules about exactly who you were and weren't allowed to want. Desire pulled one way, survival pulled the other. And those 2 forces were at war inside every single person. That war never ended. It's still running inside you tonight. Let me walk you across the battlefield, starting with the strangest rule of all. You couldn't fall for the people closest to you. Look around your tiny band. Almost everyone is related. Cousins, half-siblings, the children of your parents' siblings. Pair with them and your own children pay for it. Weaker, sicker, far less likely to survive a hard winter. So humans did something that sounds romantic but was really about survival. They looked outward, toward strangers, toward other groups entirely. Imagine being young and walking for days across open, dangerous land toward a place where distant bands gathered to trade, to share fire, to find partners. And there, across the smoke, you see a face you've never seen before. No history, no shared childhood, a complete stranger, and something in you lights up precisely because they are strange. That spark, the pull toward the unknown face, wasn't a flaw. It was the very thing keeping your bloodline alive. And we can actually prove they did this. In a grave in Uhlau, Germany, archaeologists found a family buried together. They studied the women's teeth, because the water you drink as a child leaves a permanent mark in your enamel, a hidden record of where you grew up, and the women hadn't grown up there at all. They'd been born somewhere else and crossed into this group to build a family, proof written in bone that people left home to find love. But here's the dark half. The stranger you needed was also the stranger you feared. The outsider came from a rival group, competitors for the same land, the same animals, the same water. And that family in Uhlau, they were all killed together in a violent raid. So the first forbidden love wasn't a feeling. It was a border you had to cross, walking toward the very people your survival told you to fear. But the strongest force keeping you from the wrong person wasn't out there, across enemy lines. It was hidden inside your own head. Picture 2 children growing up side by side in the same camp. They share food, they sleep near the same fire, they learn to walk in the same dust. Years pass, they grow up. And when they finally look at each other as adults, nothing, no spark, no pull. Somewhere along the way, the brain quietly decided this person was family and switched the desire off. No one chose it, no one was even asked. Scientists call it the Westermarck effect, and you can watch it happen in real life. Children raised together from infancy on Israeli kibbutzim, with no blood relation at all, grow up and almost never marry one another. They see each other as siblings, never as possibilities. And in old Taiwanese marriages where a little girl was raised inside her future husband's home from childhood, those couples later had more divorces, fewer children, more affairs. Scientists still argue about exactly why, but the pattern is hard to ignore. So sit with this. A piece of who you're even allowed to want was decided for you in childhood by nothing more than who slept near your fire. But the firewall isn't perfect. And the most dangerous wrong person of all slips right past it, because there's someone you were never raised beside. Someone who already belongs to another. This is the wrong person who can't be hidden and can't be avoided. In a world you can never leave, wanting someone who's already bonded is a bomb in slow motion. You see them every single day, at every fire, on every hunt, in the close dark where the whole group sleeps for warmth. And their partner sees you, sees the glance you held 1 second too long. Picture it, a shared meal by the fire. You reach for the same piece of food at the same moment, and your hands almost touch. You both freeze, you both look away too fast. And across the flames, someone is watching, the person they belong to, and now they know. Nothing was said, nothing needed to be. This is where jealousy was born, not as a flaw, but as an alarm. The bonded partner is guarding everything they've poured years into. Shared children, shared food, a shared future. Suspicion spreads through the camp like smoke. And if that attraction is ever acted on, it doesn't stay between two people. One affair can split families, end friendships people needed to stay alive, and start blood feuds the children inherit. You felt a small, safe version of this, the quiet thrill, the quiet shame of wanting someone off limits. But to them, that same feeling could end an entire world. And yet, even when no one is taken, even when no rule is broken, desire can still betray you. Because sometimes the most dangerous person is simply the most exciting one. Picture two people who want you. One is steady, reliable, the one who reads the weather, shares the meat fairly, and will still be standing beside you in the worst week of the hardest winter. The other is thrilling, funny, magnetic, the one whose laugh carries across the camp, the one every eye follows around the fire. You already know which one your heart leans toward, and that's the trap. Scientists who study attraction suspect our wiring doesn't always reward the safe choice. The very signals that once screamed strong or high status, confidence, boldness, charm can set desire on fire even when that person would be a disaster to actually build a life with. The compass points at the brightest flame, not the warmest one. It's the oldest mistake there is, falling for the exciting one and overlooking the kind one. The bad decision your friends see coming a mile away, and you somehow cannot. Think of the last time you or someone you love chose the thrilling person over the good one, and how obvious the ending looks now looking back. That wasn't bad luck. That was ancient wiring doing exactly what it was built to do. But every wrong person so far, the stranger, the relative, the taken, the thrilling, was still your own kind. What happens when the person you want isn't even human like you? For most of our story, we weren't the only kind of human alive. Picture it, your small band is crossing a cold open land following the herds, and one day you meet someone. Human, but not like you. Heavier, stronger, broad and built for the cold with a brow like a low ridge of stone. They watch you the way you're watching them. They are a Neanderthal, a different species entirely, with their own language, their own fire, their own dead they buried. For a moment both of you are frozen, every instinct says danger, run or fight. But you don't run, you stay. Maybe you share the warmth of a fire on a brutal night. Maybe you trade a tool or a look that lingers. And somewhere in that impossible meeting, fear turns into something else. By every rule that should matter, this is the ultimate wrong person. And it happened anyway. Around 50,000 years ago, as our ancestors spread out of Africa, they met Neanderthals and fell for them. Not once by accident in the snow, again and again across thousands of years. And we know it for certain, because the proof never rotted away. Almost everyone alive today whose roots lie outside Africa carries it. Around 2% of your DNA was written by a Neanderthal that one of your own ancestors looked at and wanted and chose to love. Let that land. The proof of an ancient, forbidden cross-species romance isn't behind glass in a museum. It's inside your body, in every cell you have right now. We love to imagine these two kinds of humans as enemies who only ever met to fight. But you are the living evidence that, at least sometimes, across the deepest line that ever divided one human from another, they reached for each other instead. And reaching across a line like that was never free. Every forbidden love had a price, and in their world that price could be everything. So what happened when it all went wrong? When you chose the stranger or the taken one or the wrong species, and the group decided your love was a danger to them all? You couldn't leave. That's the part we forget, because for us leaving is easy. But there was no other town, no fresh start one valley over. If your people turned on you, the punishment wasn't a hard conversation, it was exile. And exile in that world was almost a death sentence. Alone, no one to hunt with, no one to share food in the lean months, no one to guard your back in the dark. A single human against the wild was a dead human on a slower clock. Being cast out wasn't loneliness the way we mean it now, it was the end of you. And here's the part that should give you chills. Sometimes, knowing all of that, people followed the wrong desire anyway. Picture the morning it ends, the group turns its back, no one meets your eyes. You gather what little you can carry and you walk away from the only fire you've ever known, out toward the empty land alone. You look back once, the smoke is already thinning behind you. And you know with total certainty that the cold or the dark or the hunger will find you within days. They crossed that line knowing it could cost them every person they had ever loved. They did it because the pull was stronger than the fear of death itself. If that sounds insane, it should also sound familiar. You've watched someone throw away something safe and good for someone obviously wrong. Maybe you've been that someone. So how do you survive a force that powerful, one that can kill you? You don't fight it, you build a cage around it. Picture the elders of the group deciding who a young person may marry, before that person ever gets a say. Picture the whispers around the fire when someone looks at the wrong face too long. Picture the rules, spoken and unspoken, about exactly who is allowed and who is forbidden forever. That's what we did. Faced with a desire that could destroy us, we didn't try to erase it, we caged it. Taboos, kinship rules, arranged matches, shame and gossip and approval hovering over every glance. So much of what we proudly call culture grew in part as a fence around desire, built to keep the wrong person on the far side of the line, where they couldn't burn everything down. And here's the part that should stop you cold. You're still living inside those cages tonight. We've just given them prettier names, values, standards, red flags, knowing your worth. Different words, same ancient project, trying to talk ourselves out of the person our oldest wiring is still pulling us toward. So the next time you feel it, that pull toward the person you can't explain wanting, the one everyone warned you about, understand what you're really feeling. It isn't weakness, it isn't some modern flaw born of apps and bad habits. It's a program tens of thousands of years old, still running, still at war with itself. The same instinct that once pulled a human across enemy lines, slipped past the firewall, and reached across the gulf between two whole species. That's the thing pulling you toward a name glowing on a screen at 2 a.m. You are not broken, you are ancient. And we even know what one of those impossible loves left behind. In a cave in Siberia, inside a pile of more than 2,000 tiny nameless bone fragments, scientists found a single sliver of a girl. Just a fragment, easy to miss. She was about 13 when she died, around 90,000 years ago. And when they finally read the DNA inside that bone, they found something no one on Earth had ever seen. Her mother was a Neanderthal. Her father was a Denisovan, yet another kind of human, a third branch of our family. She is the only first-generation child of two different human species ever found in the world. Think about what that means. Her parents were two people who, by every rule that existed, were the most wrong person imaginable for each other. Two whole species that were supposed to stay apart. And the only trace of their meeting that survived 90,000 years of ice and silence is their daughter. One small bone quietly carrying a whole forbidden love story, waiting for someone to finally read it. Someone once crossed every line there was, and out of that crossing came a child, held and fed and raised and almost certainly grieved in a cave at the frozen edge of the world. She laughed once, she had a favorite spot by the fire, she was loved. And then 90,000 years of silence closed over her, until a stranger in a lab finally heard her story written in a single bone. Now come back to tonight. Because today you can walk away, block a number, move to a new city, swipe past 1,000 new faces before breakfast. For you, the wrong person is no longer life and death, just a bad night, a deleted thread, a story you'll tell yourself someday. We gained an escape our ancestors never had, and maybe we lost something too. Because back when a choice like that could cost you everything, it also meant everything. So tonight, when someone sits alone in the dark, thumb hovering over a name they already know is wrong, they aren't making some sad little modern mistake. They're doing the oldest, most human thing there is, reaching across a line they were never supposed to cross. and somewhere 90,000 years ago in the cold by a fire someone reached too.